Hello and welcome to Treasure in Every Verse. I'm your host, author and Bible teacher Kevin Madison. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, friends, we're back and we're talking about the book of Revelation, and we're in chapter 2. And last time we were here, we had went through the church at Ephesus and finished that one up. And we started with the historical view of the church at Smyrna. And essentially, what you have here, what I have on the board, and we talked about this when we was doing an overview of the seven churches, is what God is saying concerning the churches, that there would be 7 periods of the church age. And he gives them in this order. Essentially, the birth of the church at the apostolic, where you had all the apostles, including the apostle John and apostle Paul and Peter and all those guys. And then you had a period of time where the church went through immense persecution. And then worldliness entered the church. And then we had the immoral dark ages. Then we had the Reformation, when the gospel finally got out and the scriptures started being broadcast in every language. Then we had the missionary people who actually took the scriptures and went to all the different areas and gave those people the written word so that they can read it for themselves in their own language. And then today we have this dragnet, like Jesus said in Matthew chapter 13, where there is a total mixture of false doctrine and false Christianity that leads to an unbelieving, unredeemed, unsaved church that is going to enter into the tribulation. So if you're saying to me today, Kevin, I'm not fully convinced that the church is going to be raptured out before the tribulation and that the church is going to go through the tribulation, my response to you is, you're partially correct. There's a part of the church that is going to go into tribulation, and there's another part of the church that is not going to go into tribulation. Let me define that for you. There's inside the church today, there are wheat and there are tares. So with that said, the wheat will not go through the tribulation, but the tares are. By the way, the tares are the unbelieving members of your assembly, of my assembly, people who read the book, the Bible, people who don't read the Bible, people who go to church, people who do a lot of things, sing in the choir, preach, teach, whatever you want to call them. They look like you. They act like you. They talk like you. Some of us are wheat. The others are tares. The tares, if they're alive at that time, are going to go into great tribulation. All right. So there you have it. And another thing that God is showing us here with the 7 churches is this. There are 7 types of believers on the earth alive at all times. What kind of believers are there? There are believers who lost their first love. And then there are believers in Smyrna, who are going to be persecuted. There are people today, Christians, true born-again Christians. Now, I'm not talking about Christians in names who are being persecuted. I'm not talking about the terrorists. I'm talking about the wheat. Okay, there are people today who are true born-again believers who are literally dying for their faith. They're martyrs today on the earth. They're just like the church at Smyrna. Then there are believers today who are compromising with the pagan culture. Do I believe that everyone in the Protestant faith, all of them, I'm talking your Methodists, your Baptists, and all that, do I believe everyone in those things are lost? Of course not, man. No. They're believers in all those, unfortunately, false Christianities, forms of Christianity. And they're compromised with the pagan culture. All right? Then there are church members, believers today, that are corrupted. And they're so deceived that they're in religion that allows this mess right here. Total immorality and total adultery. Now, do they participate? No, they don't. Who am I talking about? I'm primarily talking about you Catholics. That's what I'm talking about, the Roman Catholic Church. Are there believers, true born-again believers in the Roman Catholic Church today? Yes. Are there a lot? No. No. As a matter of fact, there are not a lot of believers, period, when you talk about the population of the world versus the population of true born again. There's never, ever, outside of the time when Adam and Eve was there by themselves in the first family. Other than that, there was never a time, well, with Noah and his children, his wife, and their wives. Outside of that, no. No. There are always more tares than there are wheat. Remember what Jesus says. There's a way to heaven. There's one road that is straight and narrow. Few are found on that. Who that? Those are the wheat. Those are the believers. And there's a broad and wide way and gate. How many is on that road? Many. So I didn't say that, folks. I know people don't like that. But that's what the Bible teaches. So here you have the idol worshiping and stuff, and most of these people, folks, are flat out lost. And then you had the church at Sardis, where God says, "Hey, look, this is your Reformation period." Where Martin Luther, where God says, "Hey, look, man, you're involved in all of this social issue stuff in politics, most of you, and it's useless." That's what he called dead works. You know, we're going to save the United States of America through some getting rid of homosexuality, getting rid of transgender. Are those things wrong? Should we get rid of them? Of course. But that's not what God told us to go out and preach. As the scriptures touch on these things, I'll talk about them. But outside of that, forget it, man. I ain't preaching against alcohol. I ain't preaching against drugs. I ain't preaching against social injustice and diversity and equity. Get out of here, man. We're all sinners. We're all doomed without a savior. Who cares if you go to hell and you're gay? Who cares if you go to hell and you're sober and not a drunkard? Who cares if you go to hell and you're a virgin? Or you're the worst prostitute that ever walked the planet? Who cares if you go to hell if you're rich and poor or poor? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. Come on. So this stupidity right here, man, you're not going to make the world better. If you read the book, he says it's going to get worse and worse. He says by the time we get to the end, the world is going to be close to the days of Noah. You know what the days of Noah? Oh, people are going to say, oh, yeah, people were doing, no, man. People were doing X, Y, Z. They were involved in all kinds of immorality. No, they weren't. Well, yes, they were. But that wasn't the main problem. What was the main problem? They were messing around with demons, man. That was the problem. The world had got to the point to where it was demonic. That's where we are today. The music industry, full of demon worshipers. the entertainment industry, your Hollywood, they're full of demonic mess. The politicians are full of demonic mess. I mean, you think this stuff is fake, where they got all these tunnels and these children keep popping up missing? What do you think that's about? Oh, you say sex. Man, it ain't about no sex. They gonna get sex anywhere. They're worshiping demons. They're doing just like what the people in the land of Canaan was doing. They were sacrificing children to Moloch, to Baal. That's what these wicked, demonic people are doing right here in America. And you think God is going to bless America for that? Get out of here. Well, you read that in the book. Oh, I know what you're going to do. I already hear folks already. So before we even get into that, let me go to it, because I know what people are saying already. Here's what they're saying.